The answer definitely.
Are you born on August 26th?
Yeah.
You have a triplet, Dylan!
Okay, are we
Him and his twin are born on August 26th, 1999.
are we ready to begin?
Yes.
All right, welcome to round one. Our first question is from the category of world language. We're going to begin. Can everybody see this sign?
This is the cover page.
Can you read this sign?
Good luck.
Very good. You'll have 10 seconds to translate the following into English. Red 4.
I played tennis when I was 12 years old.
That is correct. Questions 2, 3, and 4 come from the category of social science. Her children, that included the future King Edward VII, all married other European royalty. This first British ruler to ride a train died at her house on the Isle of Green 5. It's an interruption.
Queen Victoria I.
That is correct. Question number 3. Gold was discovered in its town of Tonopah in 1900. It has long been used by the military for nuclear testing because of its large areas that have very sparse. That's an interruption, red 5.
Arizona.
I cannot accept that answer. I'm going to read the question in its entirety. Gold was discovered near its town of Tonopah in 1900. It has long been used by the military for nuclear testing because of its large areas that have very sparse populations. Name this U.S. state, famed for its famous Comstock silver mine in the mid-1800s, and for Green 5.
Nevada.
That is correct. And for gambling along its Las Vegas Strip. Question number 4 comes from the category of social studies. Its website lists some of its duties as supervising national banks and thrift institutions, and advising on domestic and international, financial, monetary, economic, and trade policy. Name this cabinet department that prints money as part of a supervision of coinage and currency. Red 5.
The U.S. Mint.
I cannot accept that answer. Green 5.
The U.S. Treasury.
That is correct. Questions 5, 6, and 7 come from the category of language arts. His most famous works were written during his 17 years in England that followed the War of 1812. When he came back to the United States, he built a house in upstate New York and called it Sunnyside. Name this author, most famous today for his characters Ichabod Crane and Rip Van Winkle. Green 4.
Irving.
That is correct, Washington Irving. Question 6. The sequel to this classic adventure novel tells how its title character left his native England after the death of his wife and revisited the island where he'd spent so much of his past life. Identify this novel by British author Daniel Defoe. It's an interruption, red 3.
Robinson Crusoe.
That is correct. That also tells how a group of cannibals killed the man named Friday. Question 7. Labor disputes sometimes end up creating a strike if one or both sides exhibit intransigence at the bargaining table. Spell the word intransigence. Red 1.
INTRANSIGENCE.
That is correct. Questions 8, 9, and 10 come from the category of math. This is a 30-second question. Pencil and paper is ready. Given as a fraction in lowest terms, what is 35% of 0.08? Red 3.
0.0280.
I cannot accept that answer. Green 3.
7/25.
That is correct. The decimal is 0.28, so you were off by a margin of 10, but we're looking for a fraction anyway. Question 9, pencil and paper's ready. This is a 30-second question. A trapezoid with an area of 120 has bases of length 6 and x and a height of 10. Give the value of x. Green 1.
6.
I cannot accept that answer. Red 4.
4.
I cannot accept that answer. The answer we have is 18. The math is that it's, oh, you know what? That's wrong. Because they took it as 100 units, not 120. We're going to have to use a replacement question. What's that? Is it?
It is 18, yeah.
It is 18. Okay, good. We don't have to use it. The way they've worked out the question is wrong.
Ah.
But the answer is correct.
How do you even do that?
So you take 120 is 6 plus x divided by 2
Times
times 10. So then 20 equals 6x from there. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Then question number 10 is also a 30-second question. 2 answers are needed for this question. Give the 2 values of z that satisfy the equation the absolute quantity of 4x plus 1 is equal to 9. Red 4.
2 and negative 2.
I cannot accept that answer. Green 1.
-5 halves and 2.
That is correct. Questions 11, 12, and 13 are from the category of science. The nut-like objects that it grows are often called samaras. Name this popular tree whose species include paperback, Norway, Japanese, silver, that's an interruption, red 2.
Maple.
That is correct. And sugar, and whose sap is often put on pancakes. It's delicious. Question 12 is also a science question. Made mostly of hydrogen and helium, its year is as long as nearly 12 years on Earth. Its astronomical symbols is thought to have come from the letter Z for Zeus. That's an interruption, red 5.
Jupiter.
That is correct. Identify the planet famed for its great red spot that is the most mass of any object in the solar system. Question 13. Your speech may slow down, change, or stop as this ailment develops. You may slow down so much and become so rigid that you have trouble swinging your arms when you walk, or even making a facial gesture. Identify this disease, named for the 19th century British doctor, that's an interruption, red 1.
Lou Gehrig's disease.
I cannot accept that answer. I'm going to read the question in its entirety. Your speech may slow down, change, or stop as the ailment develops. And you may slow down so much and become so rigid that you have trouble swinging your arms when you walk, or even making a facial gesture. Identify this disease, named for the 19th century British doctor, who called it the shaking palsy, for the hand tremors that it causes. Green 2.
Parkinson's.
That is correct. Questions 14 and 15 come from the categories of fine arts. It is used when writing music for the trombone and the tuba, as well as for the cello and for the baritone voice in a choir. Most teachers often use the phrase, all cows eat grass, that's an interruption, green 2.
Treble clef.
I cannot accept that answer. Red 2.
Bass clef.
That is correct. To help students learn the notes written out in spaces, identify the clef, also used for the left hand of a piano. Question 15. It has been owned by the French government ever since it was hung in the Musée d'Orsay in Paris in 1891. Give the common nickname for this painting, sometimes called a Victorian Mona Lisa, that features an old woman named Anna, a close relative of its American artist. Red 1.
Whistler's mother.
Whistler's mother is correct. And our final question is from the category of the Bible. He was cursed to eat bread until he returned to the ground. In the New Testament, he's seen as a source of death for all men. His transgression is revealed to God when he's seen wearing a fig leaf. His rib was used to, that's an interruption, red 4.
Adam.
That is correct. His rib was used to make his wife Eve name this biblical figure the first man. At the end of round 1, our scores for the green team is
65.
65, and for the red team,
70.